Okay, so today I'm gonna do this course here, and then maybe later on the advanced one. I'm gonna walk through the beginning again. I don't think I can reset it, but I'm gonna walk through. So choose BigQuery, we import Python package below. First step in the workflow is to create a client object. As you soon see, this client object will play a central role in retrieving information from BigQuery datasets. So create an object from the library. Work with a dataset of posts on Hacker News, a website focusing on computer science and cybersecurity news. In BigQuery, each dataset is contained in a corresponding project. In this case, our Hacker News datasets contained in the BigQuery public data project to access the dataset. We begin by constructing a reference to the dataset with the dataset method. Next, we use the getDataset method along with the reference we just constructed to fetch the dataset. So you use the object and access the dataset class. Then you use getDataset should get the dataset. So create a dataset instance of the class, which assumes a function of the class. That should be the class client. Then you use the get method to get it. Every dataset is just a collection of tables. You can think of a dataset as a spreadsheet file containing multiple tables, all composed of rows and columns. We use the list tables method to list the tables in the dataset. So similar to pandas data frame. Client list tables dataset. For table in tables print table. Similar to how we fetched a dataset, we can fetch a table. In the code cell below, we fetch the full table in the Hacker News dataset. I really don't understand what fetch means. So I'm gonna look it up. The translator. Oh, search. It's saying that it's search. Seek search. Good to know. You can fetch a table so you can search a table. So why do people use this word? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Much more simple to use search. But whatever. Next section, you explore the contents of this table in more detail. For now, take the time to use the image below to consolidate what you've learned so far. So you have the client, the BigQuery, public data, Hacker News, and then the dataset. Hacker News is the dataset, I guess. Yeah. And then in this dataset, you have a bunch of tables. Table schema. The structure of a table is called schema. It's schema. You need to understand the table's schema to effectively pull out the data we want. In this example, we investigate the full table that we fetched above. So table.schema shows up the construction of the dataset here. Title string global title. I think later on I might download. I think you have to download something in order to do this, not just in the course but in real practice. So I might do that because it's better to have experience trying to do things. Maybe do a small project to build an SQL database or something like that. Each schema field tells us about a specific column, which we also refer to as a field. In order, the information is the name of the column, the field type, or data type in the column, the mode of the column. Nullable means that a column allows no values and is the default. The description of the data in that column. So nullable is the default. The first field has the schema field. This tells us the field or column is called by. The data in this field is strings, no values are allowed, and it contains the usernames corresponding to each item's author. You can use the list rows method to check just the 5 lines of the full table to make sure this is right. Sometimes databases have outdated descriptions, so it's good to check. This returns a BigQuery row iterator object that can quickly be converted to a pandas data frame with the toDataFrame method. So it's kind of like showing the head of the data frame, but for SQL instead. The list rows method will list row method will also let us look at just the information in a specific column. If we want to see the first 5 entries in the by column, for example, we can do that. So select the field, table schema. Disclaimer before we go into the coding exercise, a quick disclaimer for those who already know some SQL. Each Kaggle user can scan 5 terabytes every 30 days for free. Can scan every 10 terabytes every 30 days for free. Once you hit the limit, you have to wait for it to reset. The commands you've seen so far won't demand a meaningful fraction of that limit. Some BigQuery datasets are huge. So if you already know SQL, which run select queries until you've seen how to use your allotment effectively. If you're like most people reading this, you don't know how to write this queries yet, so you don't need to worry about this disclaimer. So just making sure that I understand this. So it's kind of like the group by. The group by method. Yeah. Not quite because it's not changing the index. I forgot if there is a method for in pandas for that. I guess you can just select a column by name. And here is doing table schema until up to 1, which is the first column, I believe. This. Yeah, here. So selecting the column here. It's kind of an iLook for data frames. The first test of your new data exploration skills uses data describing crime in the city of Chicago. We get started when the following cell sets up all the meta feedback system to review your answers. Use the next code cell to fetch the data set. So I already did this, and I can't erase this. Maybe I should do just another code cell and type it from scratch, just to train my memory. It's not gonna matter that much, but it's better than doing nothing. I have much more practice now with coding in general, so I think it's more intuitive for me to understand how things work now. And things tend to not be roughly the same everywhere. So let's run this one instead of this one. Oh, typo. So this cell ran. Should be fine on this one. Count tables in the dataset. How many tables are in the Chicago crime dataset? Oh, I didn't do this? Or did I here? I think I did it here. How many tables are in the Chicago crime dataset? So I can do the list tables. Yeah, this is the dataset, which I created here, and then I got it here. Yeah, so num tables equals dataset dot list tables, I guess. I'm seeing it here now, but oh, I closed the thing. So whatever. I think normally if I didn't see this, I would just click write list tables and wouldn't use the dataset because I'm already accessing here, so it doesn't make much sense for me. Oh, and here I also did it differently. I use client.list tables. Oh, that's why it's accessing there. What if I do this? It has no attributes. Because I'm accessing the get method first. Because this one is this one. So yeah, makes sense that this is the client that I have to access. And now it makes sense that I have to put data set here. Because it's not specified anywhere. And because I want the length, I also need to do this. So maybe oh I should turn it to a list first. That's why I divided it into lines here. Because it's a different type of structure, I guess. Uh, let's see if I can do it in one line. Not sure if this is gonna work, but so apparently it works. Yeah. So first you turn it into a list. First you get the data accessing the client object, the list tables method. You specify which instance of the class you're trying to get the tables from. So pass that as an argument. Then you get the tables, but you have to turn them into a list first to get the amount. Explore the table schema. How many columns in the client table have timestamp data? So table graph data sets. So I'm not sure where's this data sets underscore graph comes from. Oh, comes from here. Yeah, so no, it's not accessing the get method. It's interesting that we pass this data set as an argument there. which is the get method. I didn't think about that. That's a little bit confusing for me. Because I don't have much experience with passing methods as arguments of other functions. So on this one is this thing here. Is the same thing. Just a little bit weird. It still works. So here's accessing the dataset and getting the table property and getting the crime column of the table. I have a timestamp data. Yeah, I would have trouble figuring this out if I didn't have the answer there in the bottom. So assume first you need to run, then you get the answer, then you put it there. Create a crime map. If you wanted to create a map with a dot at the location of each crime, what are the names of the two fields you likely need to pull with the crime table to plot the crimes on the map? Yes, I can see there. Think about the questions above. There are a few columns that appear to have geographic data. Look at a few values with the list rows command. To see if you can determine their relationship. Two columns will still be hard to interpret, but it should be obvious how the location columns relate to latitude and longitude. So I need to list rows. I'm gonna do that. I forgot the tutorial there. So I need to use the list rows methods. I think it's directly on the data frame. Maybe it's on the get table or dataset.ref.table. Because here I'm already accessing the crime column. Or maybe few columns that appear to have geographic data. Yeah, so I need to access the client directly, I guess. The dataset graph here. And then I need to specify which ones that I want, which I forgot how to do. What was it again? There's something else. Dataset reference objects, so isn't a different one. Maybe it's on client here. Hmm. So it's a method of the client. Yeah, I think I would need to go back. I don't remember really well. I remember there was a bunch of stuff and then the location there, but it was, yeah, client list rows. So where is the table? So I'm gonna put max results 5 and to data frame. So table is the get table. So first I need to construct for the full table. I already forgot. I think it was table, something like this. And graph here. No, data set graph. No table.full. So I have to access the data set. This should be it. And then here I put full table. I think that's it. Also, I'm getting 404. Not found table query. Yeah, so maybe it's just a problem with the database itself. But I think the command is correct. I remember I had written here a list of API responses, but I forgot where they were. They are maybe they're on the different the other screen. No. So where is it? Yeah, forgot about it. Oh, so the server could not find what was requested. So maybe the method is wrong. Dataset ref table full table client list rows. client dot list rows table max results. I think it's correct here. So I don't know why it's doing that. In the table, which is this thing here. Oh no, so I need to uh, create another thing here. Client dot get table and then pass this. That's why it's not working. So let's see if I did it right. And dot get table table wrap. And dot get table. I should be correct. There's line 2 here. Yeah. I have no clue what's wrong there. Doesn't seem to have any typo. It's accessing this one. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna move on to the next one. There's something weird going on here. I'm not sure if it's from the database or, but I think I checked enough times to see that I did the correct thing there. Begin by using the keyword select from and where to get data from specific columns based on conditions you specify. For clarity, we work with a small imaginary dataset per path records, which contains just one table called paths. Select from. The most basic SQL query selects a single column from a single table. To do this, specify the column we want after the word select, then specify the table after word from. For instance, select the name column from the paths table in the paths records table database. In the BigQuery public data project, our query would appear as follows. So I vaguely remember some of this stuff. So select from this column, select this column from this data set. Note that when writing an SQL query, the argument that we pass through from is not in a single or double quotation marks. It is in backticks, because it's inside of the comment there. BigQuery datasets are large, so usually want to return only the rows meeting specific conditions. Do this using the where clause. The query below returns the entries from the name column that are in rows, where the animals column has the text cat. For all the US cities in the open AQ dataset. Now that you've got the basics down, let's walk through an example of a real dataset. We'll use an open AQ dataset about air quality. First, we'll set up everything we need to run queries and take a quick peek at what tables are in our dataset. Since you learned how to do this in the previous tutorial, we have hidden the code, but if you'd like to take a picnic, you need only click on the code button below. So it creates the client, creates the object of the client, gets the dataset, creates a reference to the dataset, API request, so it gets the dataset. Yeah, so that's the difference between SQL and Pandas. The lesson here is that it's communicating with the API on the server, and Pandas is obviously local. So I'm not sure if you have a local database, if it's gonna be the same commands you're using this library, but I assume probably just gonna change. Yeah, I'm not sure there. Print names of the table. Same thing as before. Dataset contains only one table called global air quality. We'll fetch the table and take a picnic at the first few rows to see what sort of data it contains. Again, we have hidden the code. Should take a picnic. Should take a picnic. Should take a peek. Click on the code button below. Dataset that is graph table global air quality. So constructs the reference for the global air quality. Then gets the table that was constructed here. Preview the first client.list rows. Then okay. Everything looks good, so let's put together our query. So we want to select all the values from the city column that are in rows where the country column is US for United States. So select city from this data frame, dataset. Then where country goes US. Take the time now to ensure that this query lines up with what you learned above. Submitting the query to the dataset. We're ready to use this query to get information from the OpenAQ dataset as in the previous tutorial. The first step is to create a client object. So client equals BigQuery. We begin by setting up the query with the query methods. So query is a property, probably a function of the client. And I think this is just a built-in argument. No, query is here. Next we run the query and convert the results to a pandas data frame. Query job dot should data frame. Now we've got a pandas data frame called US cities, which you can use like any other data frame. More curious, if you want multiple columns, you can select them with a comma between the names. So this selects more columns. Select all columns with an asterisk or a star, like this. Q&A notes on formatting. The formatting of the SQL query might feel unfamiliar. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comment sections at the bottom of this page. Here are answers to the common questions. Observe the triple quotation marks. Do you need to capitalize selecting from? Working with big data sets. So I think I'm gonna read this out loud. To see how much data query we scan, we create a query job config object and set the dry run parameter, which is true. So this is the new thing here. You can also specify a parameter when running the query to limit how much data you are willing to scan. Here's an example with a low limit. So set the maximum bytes here and then pass it in here, which is this value here. In the case the query was cancelled because the limit of 1 MB was exceeded, however, we can increase the limit to run the query successfully. So training stuff, then setting up the table there, and the data frame, data set. Creates the object, access the data set. Units of measurement, which countries have reported pollution levels in units of ppm. Codes are below set first query to an SQL query that pulls the appropriate entries from the country column. Because it's useful to see an example query, here's some code from the tutorial. So let me see if I understand this one. Scan the project name first, then open AQ. Project name, open AQ. And global air quality, which is the name of the table. This project data set. and then table. Air quality, which pollution levels were reported should be exactly zero. Set zero pollution entry, just select all columns of the rows where the value column is zero. Set zero pollution results to append data frame containing the query results. On the touch, great. Select everything, then name of the project, dataset, table, where value equals zero. Then uses that to create a save config. Here, Java config, maximum bytes builds. It's gonna be 10 elevator to 10, which I'm not sure how much that is. Then makes a query here with the Java config set to this. And then makes it to data frame. And prints the file first. Name global air quality is not defined. Maybe it's because I didn't run the previous cells. But this one is running. Oh, the dependency Google Cloud BigQuery storage is not installed. Not create BigQuery storage client the dependency. So maybe that's the problem. I don't have that Google Cloud stuff installed. It is weird though. Oh, now it's working. Or maybe it was a typo there that I didn't see when I did this. So I need to save this, I think. Yeah, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. But I think it's worth it to go a little slow. I think realistically, I'm gonna learn more when I'm using this in practice. So I think I should do some. I think, yeah, after I do the Recode Camp stuff, and yeah, then I'm gonna decide I'm either gonna build websites or I'm gonna do Kaggle competitions. Maybe I'll start with Kaggle competitions first because that way I can do spaced repetition. Because if I build websites right after the free code camp, that stuff is gonna be fresh on my mind, which is not gonna force me to train so that much. As if, and the other way, I get more exposure in prolonged period of time. So I think I'm gonna do that probably. Instead of using a data frame, I can use an SQL dataset to apply the machine learning models. I never did machine learning models with SQL dataset. So I'm not sure, and the tutorials are with using pandas data frames as well. But I believe I don't see why it shouldn't be possible. It's just gonna be different. Now that you can select raw data, you're ready to learn how to group your data, count things within those groups. This can help you answer questions like how many of each kind of fruit has our store sold? How many species of animal has the vet office treated? To do this, you learn about the three new techniques: group by, having, and count. Once again, we use this made-up table of information on pets. Count, as you may have guessed from the name, returns a count of things. If you pass it the name of the column, return the number of entries in that column. For instance, if we select the count of the ID column in the pets table, we return 4 because there are 4 IDs in the table. Count is an example of an aggregated function, which takes many values and returns 1. Other example of aggregated functions include sum, average, mean, and max. As you'll notice in the picture above, aggregated functions include strange column names like F0, F0 here. Later in this tutorial, we'll learn how to change the name to something more descriptive. Group by takes the name of one or more columns and treats all rows with the same value in the column as a single group when you apply aggregate functions like count. So it's the same as in the pandas. For example, say we want to know how many of each type of animal we have in the pets table. I can use group by to group together rows to have the same value in the animal column by using count to find out how many of these we have in each group. It returns a table with 3 rows, one for each distinct animal. We can see that the pets table contains 1 rabbit, 1 dog, and 2 cats. Group by having. Having is used in combination with group by to ignore groups that don't meet certain criteria. So this query, for example, will include groups that have more than 1 ID in them. Since only the groups meet example, so you use select parents, count ID, then you put a condition here if you want any. Aliasing and other improvements. The column resulting from count ID was called F0. It's a very descriptive name. You can change the name by adding as numPost. After you specify the aggregation, this is called aliasing, and it will be covered more in detail in upcoming lesson. However, ensure what you put inside the count function. You can do count1 to count the rows in each group. Most people find it especially readable because we know it's not focusing on other columns. Also scans less data than if you supply the name. Yeah, I want to get to the part that I didn't do yet faster. So I think I'm gonna just walk through this faster. So same thing as the previous exercises. Creating the object, creating the reference for the data frame, then getting that data set from the reference. Yeah, so this creates the reference and this gets the reference. Then makes a table with the reference. I'm probably gonna forget this stuff. Prolific commenters. So here is asking to count 1 as numPost. I'm not sure where the 1 comes from. Users would like to send a query that returns all authors is more than 10,000 posts, as well as their post count. Don't understand why this 1 here. Because in the tutorial they use the name of the column. Choose the count, not a number. So it's confusing. Same thing here, count one. And where the data equals true. So it's project dataset table. Save this. And this is the second tutorial, I think. I think I stopped on the third or the fourth one. It says 86% completed there, so I'm not sure. Ideally, I would be able to finish all the ones that I have left today. Yeah, so I probably stopped here. So far, I've learned how to use several SQL clauses. For instance, you know how to select a specific column, group by, order by. Order by is usually the glass clause in your query, and it sorts the results returned by the rest of your query. Notice that the rows are not ordered by ID column. We can quickly remedy this with the query below. So select the name animal from this order by ID. And this makes the, so yeah, get it? I forgot the similar thing that does that in pandas. I think it's not set index, it's just sort, I think. Sort by or something. Sort values. Yeah, I think sort values. The order by clause also works for columns containing text, where the text alphabetical order. Okay. Reverse the order using the descender, so desk descending, and assume the default is ascending. Next, we'll talk about dates. This format has the year first, then the month, and then the day. Looks like this. So year, month, day. Data frame formats like the date format, but with time added at the end. The date time formats like the date format, but with time added at the end. Extract. Often you want to look at part of a date like the year of the or the day. It is with extract. We illustrate these with a slightly different table called paths with date. Oh, I also forgot I have to do. I think I'm gonna make a video explaining I solved the Turing complete challenge there yesterday, the saving gracefully. I think I needed to make a video explaining that. The query below returns two columns, where column day contains the day corresponding to each entry, the date column from the paths with date table. So select name, extract day from date as day. Column day contains the day corresponding to each day. Extracts this from date as day. Often you want to look at part of a date like this year or the day. You can do this with extract. Illustrate this with a slightly different table. The query below returns two columns where column day contains the day corresponding to each entry, the date column form from the paths with date table. Also, we're extracting the days here from this date. So this one is slightly confusing. This law is very small, marked about dates, and we can ask for information beyond just extracting part of the cell. For example, this query returns one column with just the week in the year, between 1 and 53, for each date in the date column. You can find all the functions you can use with dates in BigQuery, this documentation, and other date and time functions. Which day of the week has the most fatal motor accidents? So let's just look at the code. Select count consecutive number as num accidents, then extracts day of week from timestamp of crash as day of week. Day of week. Let's see. So project dataset column groups by day of the week, order by number of accidents descending. As usual, we run it as follows: save config bquery, query java config, then access the query methods from the client. So this one I'm gonna open a new tab because I don't think I did it before, so I'm probably gonna have to look at the tutorial again. So this creates the client dataset, get dataset, reference table, get table, then list the rows in pandas format. So client.dataset, gets dataset. I don't understand why it does this one if it doesn't use on the other ones. Your results should have the country name rather than the country code. You have one row for each country. The aggregate function is for average is average. The name average adds spending percentage for the column created by this aggregation. Are the results of the countries that spend the largest fraction of GDP on education shows up first. In case it's useful to see a simple query, here's a query you saw in the tutorial using a different dataset. Query to find out the number of accidents for each day of the week. So I already did this. Let's run and see if it works. Selects from country name, average value. So I stopped on the next one. So select country name, then calls the average, passes the value. So it's getting the value, the average of the column, value column between as average at spending from the data set where indicator code equals this and year. So I remember I had a lot of trouble with this one because I just didn't know this command here. Group by, country name, order by, and I didn't know which one to put first. Identify interesting codes to explore. Should have one row for each indicator code. The columns in your results should be called indicator code, indicator name, and num rows. One select codes with 175 or more rows in the raw database. Exactly 175 rows would be included. To get both the indicator code and indicator name, your resulting data frame need to include both in your select statement. In addition to account aggregation, this requires you to include both in your group by clause. order from results most frequent to less frequent. Select indicator code, indicator name, count as number rows. Then where year equals 2016, group by indicator name, indicator code. Leaving count bigger than 175, order by count descending. Then creates the job here. The query with the safe config. This is this data frame. Let's save it. So I think there's two more. It's probably the ones that I didn't do yet. I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom while it's saving. We're about to learn how to use as and with to tidy up your queries and make them easier to read. On the way, we use the familiar paths table, but now it includes the ages of the animals. As you learned in an earlier tutorial how to use as to rename the columns generated by your queries, which is also known as aliasing. This is similar to how Python uses as for aliasing and doing imports. Choose as in SQL, insert it right after the column you select. Here's an example of a query without an as clause. Here's an example of a query with as. These queries return the same information, but in the second query, the column returned by the count function will be called number, rather than the default name of f0. it does something I only thought about now as well, because it feels so intuitive in Python when you're calling parts as. So yeah, I never really realized that the as is a built-in command in Python, which is interesting. I wonder if it comes directly from C. I don't think so. I think they probably built it. So it's probably written in C. Yeah, all languages are pretty much written in C, but just interesting to think about if it's part of the standard library of Python or not. Because that's one of the things I had the most trouble with when learning how to program so far is differentiating the things that the computer actually understands on a fundamental level and that was built in from the language that you're using. So I think, yeah, it might be from Python exactly because I don't remember. Maybe JavaScript has as well, but I don't remember really well. On its own, as is a convenient way to clean up the data returned by your query. It's even more powerful when combined with what's called a common table expression. Common table expression or CT is a temporary table that you return within your query. CTs are helpful for splitting your queries into readable chunks, and you can write queries against them. For instance, you might want to use the past table to ask questions about all the older animals in particular. So you can start by creating a city which only contains information about animals more than 5 years old like this. So query with seniors as, and then parentheses. This query is incomplete, mark omission. This is a city named seniors. So select ID, name, where greater than 5 years old. On the incomplete query above won't return anything. It creates a city that we can then refer to as seniors while writing the rest of the query. We can finish the query by putting the information that we want from the city. The complete query below first creates the city and then returns all of the IDs from it. So city is in parentheses. Select ID from seniors and then it selects from the city. Could do this without a city, but these were the first parts of a very long query. Moving the city would make it much harder to follow. Also, it's important to note that the cities only exist inside the query where you create them, and you can't reference them in later queries. So any query that uses a city is always broken into two parts. First, we create the city, and then we write a query that uses the city. How many Bitcoin transactions are made per month? We're going to use a city to find out how many Bitcoin transactions were made each day for the entire time span of a Bitcoin transaction dataset. Investigated the transactions table. Here's a view of the first few rows. The corresponding code is hidden, but you can unhide it by clicking on the code button below. So the first initial part is the block timestamp column contains the date of each transaction. The format converted. You convert this into date format using the date command. You do that using SAT, and then the next part of the query counts the number of transactions for each date and sorts the table so that earlier dates appear first. So with time as select count one as transactions and state from time. So it's weird here because these are on different lines, but yeah, I assume that the city name is time and then selecting count as is both these two columns here, groups by transaction date and orders by transaction date. Select date, block time stamp as transaction date from this data set. Then creates the job. Which is this thing used here? Query. Yeah, this is the query. Data frame. So now I think this one I'm gonna have to do because I didn't do it previously. So it's only creating the dataset reference and dataset, not creating the table. I already forgot how to do that, but I think it involves get the table, then uses the client to get the table, then choose make a reference to the table, then get a table method, and then there's other command there, list rows, client.list rows, and pass the table as the argument and max results. I think that's it. It recurs how much slower traffic moves when traffic volume is high. This involves a few steps. Find the data. Before you can access the data, you need to find the table name of the data. So I didn't do this. In step completion is helpful whenever you can remember a command. Type client dot and then hit the tab key. Don't forget the period before hitting the tab. So here I need to do the other parts that they didn't do there. So let me see if I can remember. So I think it was stable ref, then client dot table. I think it was something like this. So, but which one did I want? About taxi trips, rendezvous, cross bots, short tracks. This involves a few steps. Table name with the data. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I need to write full to see the how much slower traffic moves when traffic volume is high. So I think I need to do this. Then table dot. No, I'm just learning. I don't know what I am actually, but might be full stack, let's say. But I don't have a lot of experience. I learned everything by myself, doing free code camp stuff, challenges. Then I learned Python. Then I did a couple of projects on my own. And I think I'm not sure if I did projects on string, but yeah. But I'm only doing this for I have been doing this for 1 year, so not very experienced. So I think it's get table here. No, it's client.get table. And then list rows. I think it was something like this. Not sure if I'm butchering this. Maybe there was some other argument here that I'm forgetting. So the object has no attribute table, so it's probably the dataset ref. So now I'm getting this far or farther. Might be because I'm doing this wrong or because it's the same mistake that I got on the previous challenges, that everything was correct. So saying is not found. So maybe I'll have to look at the tutorial again and see if I did everything correctly. Client.get table. Or I can try to do data set here instead of, but I feel like it's gonna be wrong because I don't want to access the get dataset method. I want to access the reference to the dataset. And I'm getting the same mistake, so I think I'm gonna go back and look at the tutorial here. So table ref, dataset ref dot table, dataset ref dot table, client dot get table, table ref. Okay, so got it right, which I'm happy about that. Client, oh, maybe I just need to do this. So client list rows table, oh, two data frame. I forgot the two data frame. I knew I was forgetting something. And I wasn't really sure what it was. But I'm still getting this error here. So maybe, oh, maybe I didn't run this. Oh, I think I did this as well. Yeah, that's weird. These exceptions from HTTP response. So it's failing on this line, which is the client.get table. Here's client get table table ref, which is maybe is the name of the column, but I remember that I could do this to get all the columns. So let's do what they tell me to do here. So you press tab to research. Update table. So these are all the methods of the class client. I'm using the table there. So, and doesn't seem that it has table here. I'm accessing the table of the dataset ref, not the client. Let's see, get table. Also doesn't, oh, here, get table. So it should be correct. Maybe if I do it like this to check this one. Yeah, table. So yeah, but now I can't press tab, that's the problem. Just see what arguments I could use inspect here. Oh, there is a way to. Yeah, but this is just giving me functions. I wonder if I can use super. I need to study super more. It's a little bit confusing for me. I think I know what it is. It's for classes, class inheritance, but I'm not sure if I know really well. I think I'm gonna look at the solution of this because it seems like it might be something on the back end of Kaggle with the Google thing. I'm not really sure about that. Because it seems I'm doing everything correctly here. I shouldn't be getting an error. So gets the table from the table reference, which is the table of the dataset. The only thing I'm doing differently is the name of the column, which I'm using full, because I think this is supposed to give me all the columns, and they didn't specify which column I have to look at here. We work with a dataset about taxi trips in the city of Chicago. Run a subload to fetch the Chicago taxi trips dataset. So this is the dataset, but there's no columns here. Maybe if I try to run it without any arguments and see what happens. Yeah, table ID. So I have to pass an argument. Oh, here. Hmm. Did I erase this? Oh, that's the problem. That's here the problem. Or am I crazy? What happened here? Oh, here's that. I was testing different stuff there. That's why. Yeah. Now let's see. So I need to put the argument, and then it's gonna give me that problem there. So maybe I need to use another thing is that's not really what they want me to do. It's also possible. Maybe I need to find the method, create table, data set. Or do I have to create a query on this one? It's just confusing the way that load table from data frame. But this is to load list tables here. Maybe this one. So maybe I have to call it like this. So it requires the data set, which is this one. Not sure if that's what I'm supposed to do, but don't forget the period before I end it. So maybe if I print this or make it a data frame, HTTP iterated object has no attribute data frame. So it's an HTTP, so these tables, maybe if I loop through this, Google Cloud, query table, table list item, object. So it's saying that it's an object, iterator object, but it doesn't loop through it. So maybe if I use this dot here, extract parameters. So it's either pages or X. I'm not sure if there is extract. Probably pages. Let me comment this out. So I can't use this. The shortcut there. Yeah, it doesn't give me anything. I think I'm gonna look at this solution. Also, it's close to what I did. Also, I have to turn it into a list. Yeah, why did I think about that? I don't think they mentioned it in the previous ones. Now table ID. Table.table ID. Don't remember, maybe they did and I forgot. Pick the data, use next code cell to pick at the top few rows of the data. Inspect the data and see if any issues with the data quality are immediately obvious. To pick at the top few rows of the data. So now I have to do that max results thing. Table name, text strips. So let me see. So table client.get table text strips. I think that's the way that it is done. And then client list rows. Maybe I have to print this. Client dot list rows table max results is 5 the data frame. Table ID must be fully quantified at the standard SQL format. Project dataset table ID got taxi trips. So I need to create first the reference. Table ref. Now I remember. Dataset ref dot. I don't remember actually. I think the dot table should work. Dot table taxi trips. And now I put table ref here. Now it should work. Nice. So, bunch of keys. Tax ID, unique key. These are the first five rows there. Determine when this data is from. If the data is sufficiently old, you might be careful before assuming the data is still relevant to traffic patterns today. Write a query that counts the number of trips in each year. Your results should have two columns: year, the year of the trip; num trips, the number of trips that year. So you just want to see, yeah. So here I'm gonna use the CT stuff. So here goes the query. So now is the difficult part to remember. When using group by and order by, you should refer to them, the columns by alias here. That's just set at the top of the select here. So I think it was select, then from, and then where. So the from part is from dataset, of a project dataset, and then table name. So project dataset name and taxi trips. Close backticks. So I think the from part is correct. When using group by, so data is sufficiently old might be carried by a query that counts the number of trips in each year. Select maybe it's count one in should have two columns. So maybe it's count num trips. I don't remember if it's in strings or not. Using group by and order by. So maybe it's not where here. Yeah, so maybe it's group by num trips. No, group by year. Order by num trips. I just forgot the so save query and our client dot query. I think yeah, writes per year. Then job config equals save config. Run the query and return a page in this data frame. True. So now let's see if this works. So my issue is on the query. No, maybe is this one. Don't recognize name here at teacher. So this is the problem. So maybe if I put it in quotation, it's gonna work in strings. Yeah, it doesn't work. Not grouped by literal values. Not grouped by literal values. Well, but it's the tutorial said it could. But maybe I'm missing something here. Well, I need to use extract. The SQL code to select the year from trip start timestamp. The SQL code to select the year from trip start and select extract. So I need to use this one. So select year from trip as year, probably. What I have to do. But I don't remember if I use strings or not. Oh, here it doesn't have. So I'm gonna leave it without. Should refer to the columns by the ILS year that you set at the top of the select year. The from field can be a little tricky until you are used to it. The format is a backtick, project, table name. Use this as your answer and find the data. So I'm still getting the wrong result here. No trip set. So maybe it is in quotes, double quotes. Or maybe I have to do something. Maybe I have to do count, order by count, number of years. Cannot order by literal values. So here it's probably a count. Oops. Nice. Oh, it worked, but it's incorrect. Your results should have an entries column, but your columns are year. So it's the other way around it, I guess. So now I need to take this count off. Not group by literal values. So what if I take the quotes again? Yeah, I don't know. So structure here, select structure as year. Maybe this. Then I forgot. I didn't do some stuff here. count one as num trips. This is the problem. So the count goes here instead. Now it should work. So it still doesn't work. Column num trips contains an aggregate function which is not allowed in group by. So maybe I need to just take this off here. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. So this part I think is correct because I got the information there. Code to select the year from select extract the year from. BigQuery public data, then order by year. But it needs to have two columns. Yeah, so the two columns should be the first ones. So that's this expression references column, which is neither grouped nor aggregated at. No, but they are giving me the code there. So it doesn't make sense for this part to be wrong. I think I'm just gonna look at the solution. So what did I do wrong here? Oh, so it has to be ordered by and grouped by year instead. But no, now it's correct. It's weird that it was giving me that problem there. Oh yeah, it did mention group by there. But I thought it was referencing the first line here. Yeah, because it can't be ordered by year if it's grouped by year. Yeah, that's the problem. That is slightly deeper. Let's take a closer look at rights from 2017. Copy the query used above in rights per year query into the cell below for rights per month query. Then modify it in two ways. So first, let me copy. It's hard to remember all of the stuff. Uh, Use aware clause to limit the query to data from 2017. So I'm not sure if it comes before or after. But where year equals 2017. Yeah, but equals is not going to be correct. So I'm not really sure how to get that. Or maybe it is because I'm getting the year from timestamp in the first line. Modify the query to extract the month rather than the year. And now it makes it more difficult. I'd like to take a closer look at rides from 2017. But then I can do a year equals 2017. Here's client.query. This. Then this one to data frame. So I'm gonna be getting there in the year there. Yeah. So how can I filter this? Use a where clause to limit the query to the data from 2017. Maybe I need to do the same thing, but it doesn't feel correct. It doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do. Even if it passes. Yeah, now it's extracting, so can't pay this. So how do I get the year there? It's not this. As month here. But it still doesn't change anything. Problem is the year thing. If I make month 2017, doesn't make any sense. Because I want the year, not the month. Filter. I think I'm just gonna look. Oh, so it does use extract year. So yeah, maybe the only problem is the column name there that I was using. Extract year from time. So it doesn't feel correct to do this way. But if they say so, probably correct. Write the query It's time to step up the sophistication of your queries. Write a query that shows for each hour of the day in the dataset the corresponding number of trips and average speed. The results should have three columns. Hour of day, sort by this column. It shows the result of extracting the hour from trip start timestamp. Num trips, the count of the total number of trips in each hour of the day. E.g., how many trips were started between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Then the average day, average month, the average speed. So, not gonna look at that. Gonna try to do it first. So it's too much stuff to think about. So I forgot how they do this. So which one do I have to put it first? Since the block timestamp column contains the date of each transaction, datetime format converts to date. You do that using SCT, and then the next part of the query counts the number of transactions of each date and sorts their table. Early dates appear first. So selecting the column first with the data set, and just get from here. Hours of day, sort by this column, which shows the result of extracting the hour from trip timestamp. So select extract hour from trip timestamp. I forget that. Can't click it twice there to copy. As hour of day. Counts one as num trips. Count the total number of trips each hour of the day. How many trips were started between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. The count of the total number of trips independent of which day it occurred on. So this 6 a.m., 7 a.m. here, I'm not sure about. Average mph, the average speed measured in miles per hour for trips that started in that hour of the day. Average speed in miles per hour is calculated as. So how the fuck am I supposed to do that? Restrict your query to data meaning the following criteria. Start time. Start timestamp between 2017. So I'm obviously gonna do this again. So maybe I don't need this from stuff. But the question is, can I use bigger for dates? So it should be bigger than 2017, 0101. Smaller than 2000. Thing is, they throw stuff that wasn't on the tutorial. At least I don't remember. So there is no way to understand how to do it. Also, maybe this extract thing is not from here. Let me go back to this. So from this, so maybe this hour of the day, this count one as num trips goes here. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that this is what I'm supposed to do. Then hour of day. Then group by. You use common table expression CT to select just the relevant rights. Because these datasets were big, this CT should select only the columns you need to create the final output. Do you want to actually create those in the CT? Sadly, create those in later select statement below the CT. So which ones? I remember seeing it here. Sort this column. Sort by this column. So group by. Shows the results. So. And I think it's ordered by hour of the day as well. But maybe it's. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's run this and see what happens. And surprisingly, got an error there. Expected. String got a little 2017. So where is this possibly coming from? Here. Oh, I forgot to close. It's not this. Forgot to erase this. Yeah, so it doesn't work with time. But if I have to extract each one, it doesn't make much sense. Maybe I have to do nested statements there. I'm not sure if I can do this. So I'm just gonna copy this statement here. So month has to be between 0, 1, and 7. And day has to be equal to 1. Maybe it's just 1 and 0 works. But I have a feeling this is not gonna work. Because I'm doing the condition there. Yeah, so same problem, I guess. So maybe if I wrap this up like this, it works. It doesn't feel like it though, but it doesn't work. I'm just gonna look at the hint and then solution. I just have the solution. This one. Oh, so it does use this, but with strings. And here has to put trip miles and trip seconds. And I forgot to put this in the condition as well. On the other parts. I didn't do this as well. And the rest is correct. I think that's it. I'm gonna save. I think I'm gonna get some more water. Not counting the time, I think. That I spent here. Yeah. The 2 hours. So why is not showing up? Oh, here. So now I think this is the last one. Yeah. So I'm just gonna do this one and then. You have the tools show obtain data from a single table in whatever format you want it. But what if the data we want is spread across multiple tables? That's where join comes in. Join is incredibly important in practical SQL workflows. So let's get started. We use our imaginary pets table, which has 3 columns: ID, name, animal. Also add another table called owners. The table also has 3 columns. To get information that applies to a certain pet, we match the ID column with the pets table to the pet ID column in the owners table. The pets table shows that Dr. Harry Bunkers is the pet with ID 1. The owners table shows that Aubrey Little is the owner of the pet with ID 1. Putting these 2 facts together, it's owned by Aubrey. Actually, we don't have to do this by hand to figure out which owner goes with which path. For in the next section, we'll learn how to use join to create a new table combining information from the paths and owners table. Join, using join. We can write a query to create a table with just two columns, name of the pet and the name of the owner. And remember, this is being very confusing on the free code camp tutorials. We combine information from both tables by matching rows where the ID column in the pet's table matches the pet ID column in the owner's table. In the query, on determines which column in each table chooses to combine the tables. Notice that since the ID column exists in both tables, we have to clarify which one to use. Use p.id to refer to the ID column from the past table. And o.petID refers to the pet ID column from the owner's table. In general, when you're joining tables, it's a good habit to specify which table each of your columns comes from. That way you don't have to pull the schema every time you go back to read the query. The type of join we're using today is called an inner join. That means that a row will only be put in the final output table if the value in the column we're using to combine them shows up in both the tables you're joining. For example, if Tom's ID number of 4 didn't exist in the past table, we'll only get 3 rows back from this query. There are other types of join, but an inner join is very widely used, so it's a good one to start with. Let me just load this. How many files are covered by each type of software license? So blah blah blah, stuff is redundant. So it creates the data set here, gets the table, lists the rows as always. Next, we write a query that uses information in both tables to determine how many files are released in each license. Number of files per license, sorted by number of files. So select l.license, count 1 as number of files. Here to determine, so what is L here? Doesn't say. But license is here, so yeah, sum is one of the tables on the license. We don't understand where the P comes from on this and where the L comes from there. Yeah, it says it uses, but doesn't says. Or maybe it's just creating on the fly there. As SF, inner join as well. So it's joining these two tables. The license and sample files. On sf.repo name equals all the repo name. Only when both of these columns have values, the same value, ordered by this, grouped by this, and ordered by number of files descending, which is the count. It's a big query, and so investigate separately. Again, using join, use zone specifying Next, we talk about selecting group by. When you order by, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Exercise. So now I run this to create for the data. Before writing queries or drawing clauses, you want to see what tables are available. Hint table completion is helpful. So clients dot. I think it was list tables, but I'm not really sure. Then there's set graph here. Then I had to list this. But I'm not sure if that's the case. Incorrect value. So what was it? So I'm turning it into a list, but it's an object. So maybe it should be a list of a list. Or I'm doing something wrong here. So I'm doing something wrong because. So let me see what methods I have here. No. List tables. So was it? I got the same mistake the first time. I think I have to use data set here. But the other one was just because I wasn't turning into a list. Oh, I also need to loop. Now I remember. So can I do this in the list comprehension? Or is it gonna be too big? I also remember that I have to access the thing. Yeah. I have to access something inside of this list of tables. But there was a dot here somewhere. I don't remember what it was accessing. I think it was in tables. Maybe I can use this. So, yeah, so this is gonna be a list. Let's try like this. Let's see. So I don't know. I have to see. Tables list client tables, which is what I did there. Oh, it's data set. Oh, I was gonna try that, but then I forgot. And then I do have an stable ID. At least I remembered some of the stuff. Nice. If you're interested in people who answer questions on a given topic, the post answers table is a natural place to look. On the following cell and look at the output. So this is the list rows part. So this is a bunch of questions. Are there any fields that identify a topic, technology, blah blah blah? A lot of this data stacks. We'll explore one last technique in this course, which you can apply to this tags. Where clause can limit your results to rows with certain text using the like feature. For example, to select just the third row of the past table from the tutorial, we could use the query in the picture below. Our name like Ripley. So it filters the name column. You can also use percentage as a wildcard for any number of characters. You can also get the third row with like APL. Try this yourself, write a query that selects the ID, title, and owner user ID columns from the post questions table. Selects ID, title. Seek the results to rows that contain the word bquery in the tags column. Write tags like bquery. Include rows where there is other text in addition to the word bquery. If a row has a tag bquery, the results should include that too. So percentage here. So client dot query. The where clause is not filtering on the bquery tag correctly. So hash is around the word. So what? Maybe it's title, not where. I don't understand this. Yeah, but I tried tags and they didn't work. So maybe it's no other stuff that I'm missing here. I don't see what's wrong here. It seems like it's exactly the same thing that I'm doing there. Doesn't make any sense. Or maybe it's single quotes instead of double quotes. Maybe that was it, but it was pretty much the same. Your first try. Now that you have a query to select questions on any given topic, in case you choose Joe's Big Query, some asshole driving the car. Now that you have a query to select questions on any given topic, in this case, Joe's Big Query, you can find the answers to those questions with a join. Write a query that returns the ID body and owner user ID, columns from the post answers, table for answers to Big Query related questions. So select from that returns the ID body and owner user ID columns. So it should be the same. Post answers here. You should have one row in your results for each answer to a question that has BQ in the tags. Remember you can get tags for a question from tags. Now single quotes here. Percentage. Here percentage. Here's a reminder of what a join looked like in the store. Oh yeah, I forgot that I have to do the join. So SP. So now I just have to So the one thing that I don't understand, yeah. So I need to join and here I'm missing the backticks as well. So I think I should do this for all the columns. I'm not really sure. Let's see here, the same thing. So maybe it's only on the ID. Yeah, given the example they gave. Yeah, not sure. So they both have to be no answers and questions. That's correct. Both Post questions analyze of key Q and use A for analyzing. The only part of your join is Q. Dot ID A dot parent ID. Where is this parent ID comes from? Yeah, my issue is on the tags there. Just gonna look at the solution. Q dot tags. So you need to specify which column you're querying. Oh yeah, and then I need to specify the other ones as well. I thought since they're probably both on both tables, it's not necessary, but answer the question. Have the merge you need, but you want a list of users who have answered many questions, which requires more work beyond their previous result. Write a new query that has a single row for each user who answered at least one question. Tag that includes the string B query. Your results should have two columns. User ID contains the owner user ID column from the post answer table. Number of answers contains the number of answers the user has written to pick your related question. So now I have to do another one. This is really boring, not gonna lie. It's not that difficult of a language. It's very simple. It's just the details that I have to remember, but you have the merge you need, but you want a list of users who have answered many questions which require more work beyond your previous result. Your query that has a single row for each user who has answered at least one question with the tag BQ. So select user ID, owner, user ID, columns for the post answers table. So is the post answers? Just gonna copy. So just so I remember is the project, then the data set, then the column name. Yeah, remember. So don't Don't need to write it again. User ID, owner user ID from the post sensors table. The only thing I'm not sure about is how to search the join table later. I guess it's just you just search for this sensors query job here. But it's not that clear to me. If I can use that later. Number of answers contains the number of answers the user has written to be query related questions. So it has a single row for each user who answered at least one question. Answer B query. Results should have two columns. User ID, user own ID. Column from the post answers table. It's not very clear here what they want me to do. So I should have number of answers here. I think that's it. And yeah, clients.query. Save config, not save job. So maybe I can't do this here. Yeah, I'm not sure. No, so a user, owner user ID. The rest are correct. I hope. I just don't understand the which data set I'm getting the things from. Maybe it's in the this line here, but it shouldn't be an issue if I'm declaring correctly here. Whatever. Don't spend too much time on this. Also, I need to do the join again. That's why. Yeah, it doesn't make sense because yeah, but I thought it might be there might be a way to attach this to a variable so you don't have to do this every time. You can have just the join table, kind of like you do with pandas data frames. Because it seems very redundant to have to do this every time we're gonna join a table. But this was what was weird to me when I was doing that before because it doesn't make sense. Just search for the first table. Yeah, but whatever. Doesn't matter anyway. It's not hard at all, at least so far. And I think I'm getting used to the commands there, at least the simple ones. Probably in the advanced it's gonna be more confusing, but because this join and merge can get really confusing with rows and columns, stuff like that. At least it was confusing for me when I was watching the videos on the free code camp where the I think it's Chuck, his name of the teacher, talks about that with names of music and artists and it gets confusing there. So maybe in practice is a little bit more difficult, but yeah, I don't think it should be that difficult. At least from what people say as well. So let's see. So this one and this one is not passing. Not really sure why. No, so now it works. So now I'm saving. I'm going here and run all the cells here. See if it works as well. Okay, so this seems sure. Let's see if I can save here. Yeah, so I guess it's completed now. Where is it? Here. Nice. So yeah, that's it. I think I'm gonna do advanced SQL probably today, later on today. So see you then.